These are going to be your notes on point slope form given 2 points and also converting to slope intercept form. So slope intercept form is the form that you are most familiar with. This is the only form that you've learned so far. And the way it looks is y equals mx plus b. What's unique about slope intercept form is that right away it gives you the slope of the graph and the y-intercept of the graph, which we have covered before. So now we're going to be talking about point slope form. So the point slope form formula is actually on your formula charts, but I have a nifty little way of remembering this. So let me start by just writing the form in just as it is in the formula chart. So what it looks like is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Now the way I will typically write it is y minus a box equals a box times x minus a box. And the reason that I do that is because you're going to be replacing m with it's your slope. You're also going to be replacing this x and y with a point, which, you know, according to the title, is exactly what you're given. You're given a point, which is your x1 and your y1, and then you're also given the slope, which is m. So here's where your point is, and then here's where your slope is. So first example, we're going to write the equation of the line that goes through these points. Well, anytime you are given points, you are definitely going to want to use the y minus a box equals a box times x minus a box. Think about it. If they've given you a point, you wouldn't want to use slope intercept because that doesn't have any place for a point. You would want to use point slope because that has a place for the point. You can pick any of these points, by the way. I typically go with anything that's positive, but I want to show you what to do whenever you have a negative. So this right here would be your first x, and this right here would be your first y. So if you take that first x and put it in the x box, that's what I call it, and then take that y and put it in the y box, because it's next to the y's, then you have put them in a good place. Now the only thing left to get is the slope. So let's find the slope. Let's take these 2 points, put them in our table. So we've got -1, 4, and 2, 10. Let's do our slope template. And then let's start plugging this in. So typically in my class, I'll tell people, all right, go ahead and do the dance. And that's because we pretty much do the same steps every time, just like you would a choreographed dance. So I say, start with your right, go 10, 4, 10, 4. As you say it, you then come over here and write them. So you put your y's on top, 10, 4, 10, 4, and now go over here. 2, -1, 2, -1. And then you can type this into your calculator. And you should get 2 after you type this into your calculator, which makes sense because 10 minus 4 is 6, and 2 plus 1 would be 3, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. So I can put that slope right here in the slope box. Slope is in the middle. M in the middle. M is also slope. Just little ways to remember this. Now, this form does us a lot of good whenever we're graphing or when we're first going from a point to an equation. But most of the time, you're going to need things in slope-intercept form where you have y equals. So I'm going to take this equation and I'm going to write it down right here. Y minus 4 equals 2 times x. And instead of writing minus -1, I'm going to put plus 1. Because 2 negatives make a positive. And now convert. Now this is exactly like we have been doing with solving equations. So I'm going to make my elevator here. And the first thing I'm going to do is distribute. 2 times x, 2x, 2 times 1, positive 2, bring down, and now we're going to get our y by itself. Don't get confused by the fact that you have 2 letters. The goal is to get y alone. So let's move the 4. You can only move it to a match, so you can't put it under the x. We got to put it under the constant, the number. And now it's by itself. So quick recap. All I was given in the beginning was 2 points. There's so much you can do with these 2 points, starting with finding your slope. So go table template, find your slope, and then you can just plug it into your equation. So put the x with the x box, the y with the y box, slope in the middle that you found over here. And then over here, we just distribute and then move the number away from the y. And then suddenly, you are in mx plus b. So in example 2, they didn't give me points, not directly anyway, but they did give me a graph. So I can take that graph and I can pull my points, and then I'm back to over here doing exactly these steps. So let's start by pulling my 2 points. Nice, they've already bolded a couple of points for me. I don't have to pick my own. So this one is -1, 1, and this one is 1, and then down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -5. Table, template, do the dance. -5, 1, -5, 1, 1, -1, 1, -1, and then just type it into your calculator. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. -5 minus 1 is -6 over 1 plus 1, 2. Your calculator would directly give you -3. You wouldn't have to do this line by line. So now I'm going to write the equation, but what kind of equation? Well, now think about what you have. You have slope. Your y-intercept is like, I don't know if it's exactly -2. I'm not quite sure. That line is so bold. So I'm not going to put it in slope intercept. I'm going to put it in point slope. Because I know I have points and I know I have a slope. So I'm going to write this down. Y minus a box equals a box times x minus a box. So go back up here. I'm going to use this one. Put my x in the x box and my y in the y box and my slope in the middle. And then if I needed it in slope intercept, I could change it. So I'm going to write it down without the boxes, and I'm going to start by distributing. -3 times x, -3x, -3 times 1, -3. Bring down, and then move that number. Add 1 to both sides. Y equals -3x minus 2. Oh, sure enough, that was right on the -2. And this whole thing should have gone down there. I apologize. So let me rewrite this. -3x, -1, and then add 1 to both sides. Ooh, almost messed up on that transcribing. There we go.